Let's try to see how we can proceed. So we'll say the Mangala Charanam prayers first. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmalitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vanchakalpa Turubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivashari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pashtaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschadeshatarine. So this 12th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is entitled The Devotional Service. And just doing a quick recap, this whole chapter commenced with Arjuna asking Krishna the question of which is better, meditation on the impersonal or meditation on the personal. And the Lord, in answering this question, basically devotes the entire chapter into explaining the glories of the devotional service. So these verses we are reading is about the glories of devotional service. But just to put this particular verse we're going to read today into context, let me see if there's any. Okay. So in text number 8, Krishna tells Arjuna, just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always, without a doubt. Text 9, my dear Arjuna, a winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the regular principles of Bhakti Yoga. In this way, develop a desire to attain me. Text 10, if you cannot practice the regulations of Bhakti Yoga, then try to work for me, because by working for me, you cannot come to me, the perfect stage. You will come to the perfect stage. And the last nice text, if, however, you are unable to work in this consciousness of me, then try to act giving up all results of your work and try to be self-situated. And today's verse is a continuation of those themes. So Krishna has been explaining to Arjuna what state of consciousness pleases him the most. And if you're unable to live in that state of consciousness, then try for something else. Try for something else and try for something else. And then we come to this text 12, which is a progression of what we just discussed, and we will talk more about it just now. So the verse is Shreyo hi gyanam abhyasaj gyanaddan dhyanam vishishyate dhyanat karma phalatyagas tyajak shantir anantaram. If you cannot take to this practice, then engage yourself in the cultivation of knowledge. Better than knowledge, however, is meditation. And better than meditation is renunciation of the fruits of action. For by such renunciation, one can attain peace of mind. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. As mentioned in the previous verses, there are two kinds of devotional service: the way of regulative principles and the way of full attachment in love to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For those who are actually not able to follow the principles of Krishna consciousness, it is better to cultivate knowledge, because by knowledge one can be able to understand his real position. Gradually, knowledge will develop to the point of meditation. By meditation, one can be able to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead by a gradual process. In the cultivation of knowledge, there are processes which make one understand that one himself is the Supreme, and that sort of meditation is preferred if one is unable to engage in devotional service. If one is not able to meditate in such a way, then there are prescribed duties, as enjoined in the Vedic literature for the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras, which we can find in the last chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. But in all cases, one should give up the result of fruits of labor. This means to employ the result of karma for good cause. In summary, to reach the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the highest goal, there are two processes. One process by gradual development, and the other process is direct. Devotional service in Krishna consciousness is the direct method, and the other methods involves renouncing the fruits of one's activities. Then one can come to the stage of knowledge, then to the stage of meditation, then to the stage of understanding the Supersoul, and then to the stage of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One may take either the step-by-step process or the direct path. The direct process is not possible for everyone. Therefore, the indirect process is also good. It is, however, to be understood that the indirect process is not recommended for Arjuna, because he is already at the stage of loving devotional service to the Supreme Lord. It is for others who are not at this stage. For them, the gradual process of renunciation, knowledge, meditation, and realization of the Supersoul and Brahman should be followed. But as far as Bhagavad Gita is concerned, it is the direct method that is stressed. Everyone is advised to take to the direct method and surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. So these beautiful verses, as we were explaining, commencing from text number 8, is describing the progressive stages of consciousness of the living entity. The purpose of human life is to perfect our consciousness. Perfected consciousness means Krishna consciousness. And even within Krishna consciousness, Srila Prabhupada talks about 2 stages of Krishna consciousness. Who can remember? I'm sure Divyanam Prabhu and Mukunda Hari Prabhu have been speaking about from the previous verses, have described this or discussed this. What are the 2 stages in Krishna consciousness? Prabhupada discusses it here. Anyone remember?
Gradual development and regulative principles.
Sorry, Mataji Bharati, can you repeat that?
Is that the one which says here that is the devotional service, the way of regulative principles?
Yes.
And the way of full attachment in love to Supreme Personality of Godhead. This I'm reading from the purport, Prabhuji.
Okay, yes. So on the path of devotion, there are 2 stages. The first stage is called the stage of Raganuga Bhakti, the stage of pure love, This is a stage of pure love. This is a stage where Krishna talks about offering, remembering him in full consciousness. And this is the stage where one is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness. And this is largely expressed in terms of one's ability to think about Krishna, the attraction of one's mind to Krishna. Previously, we read a nice metaphor that Prahlad Maharaj gives to describe this stage. Anyone can remember what Prahlad Maharaj says?
Is it the 9 stages of devotion?
Yeah, Shravanam, Kirtanam,
Vishnu.
Yeah, that is correct. But Prahlad gives a specific example or a metaphor or an analogy that captures very nicely what the stage is about. Okay, I will tell you. I've mentioned it twice in 2 previous classes. Prahlad says, just like iron filings are attracted to a magnet, in the same way, my mind is just attracted to you. So this is the stage of spontaneous devotion, where without even trying, just spontaneously, just automatically, one's mind is constantly drawn to Krishna and absorbed in Krishna. Krishna says that is the highest stage. That is the perfect stage. That is the stage that pleases him the most. And this is the stage he likes all of the living entities to be situated on. Then Krishna says, if you can't be on the stage, try to be on the next stage. And what is the next stage?
Follow the regulative.
Meditation, regulative principles.
Yeah, that is called, thank you very much, that is called sadhana bhakti, or also called Vaidhi bhakti, devotion under the regulative principles. Now, previously, that stage where the mind is just automatically attracted to Krishna, and all of us can one day achieve this stage. It just is a matter of purifying ourselves of the anarthas. Then it is recommended we follow the regulative principles. This means in this stage, the driver for one's practices in Krishna consciousness is 1, the order of the Guru, and 2, the injunctions of the Shastra. And Srila Rupa Goswami, in his book, The Nectar of Devotion, he outlines 64 items of sadhana bhakti, items of regulation that one has to practice. And in this stage, the mind is wandering. The mind cannot be fixed. One has not got control over the mind yet. So one gradually, through the processes of following the rules and regulations, one gradually purifies oneself of the anarthas and get greater and greater control over the mind. Then Krishna says, if you can't do this, then please, you follow this. What is Krishna? So if you can't follow the regulative principles of devotion, what does Krishna say? So if you can't do that, what should you do then?
Work for me.
Work for me.
Yes. Krishna says work for him. And what does work for him mean?
Give all the fruits to him, offered to him.
Offering one's activities to Krishna. Offering one's activities to Krishna. Whatever one works, one gets some fruit, is given to Krishna. So at this stage, one has not developed one's consciousness so much that one can accept the order of a spiritual master, or one can follow the regulative principles. So it says, okay, mat karma paramo bhava, Krishna says. And if you can't work for Krishna, what should you do then?
Give up all the results.
Yeah, give up the results of your work for some good cause. And Prabhupada specifically says in the previous explanations, give up the results of your work to help the Krishna consciousness movement or the preaching of Krishna consciousness. And then if you can't do this, if you can't just, okay, even give it for some good cause, what should you do then? Shreyo hi jnanam abhyasat. What should we do then?
Then you can
Cultivate knowledge.
Cultivate knowledge. Yes, cultivate knowledge. Why cultivate knowledge?
Because through cultivating knowledge, you will know about Krishna.
True. Just imagine one not even coming to the point of Krishna yet, just an ordinary soul, just knowledge, jnana, or spiritual knowledge. It's because knowledge helps one to become detached.
Yeah.
Helps one becomes like, if you keep reading, the Vedic scriptures, you are not this body, how this body is so temporary, the body goes through 6 stages, about the miseries of the material world. Just by reading, you can your eyes open up, you can see, yes, this is reality. I can see the world is so temporary. I can see the 6 changes that we go through the body. I can see how this material world is a place of repeated birth, death, and misery. And through knowledge, one can develop detachment. Then it says, now following that, if you can't, it says better than Gyan, because knowledge gradually develops into meditation. So what's after knowledge?
Meditation.
Yes,
Meditation.
Meditation. Jnana or practice of meditation on Atma is preferable to Jnana or realization. So Krishna is swapping it a bit now. Krishna was expressing the progressive stages, and now he started, when he comes to the cultivation of knowledge, he then starts going higher again now. So Krishna says, higher than knowledge is meditation. If you cannot do meditation, then you can renounce the results of his prescribed work for some good cause. And I'm getting a bit mixed up here. Krishna is describing lower still. And if you cannot do meditation, then you renounce the results of the prescribed work for good cause. And lastly, by renunciation, one attains peace. So Srila Prabhupada explains in this 12th verse is Abhyasa, Jnana, Dhyana, Tyaga. Knowledge is better than practice. Meditation is better than knowledge. Renunciation of fruits of work is better than meditation. And result of renunciation, one can attain peace of mind. So knowledge is better than practice. Meditation is better than knowledge. Renunciation of fruits is better than meditation. And the results of renunciation, one can get peace of mind. So Krishna is describing these different levels. But ultimately, Krishna wants us to be at the stage of bhakti. Now, Srila Prabhupada says something interesting. He says that the bhakti yoga or devotional service is the direct process. And the other methods is described as indirect. But he says the direct process is not possible for everyone. Why is the direct process, which is so easy, Krishna describes a devotional service that is joyfully performed. It is satisfying. So why is it not possible for everyone to take to the direct path?
We are conditioned.
We are conditioned. That's interesting. When you say we are conditioned, Mataji, can you explain a bit more?
Conditioned means our mind is. First thing is the mind. Mind is the cause of all trouble. So because our
Mind.
mind is not fixed on Krishna, so our mind is attached to material things. So that is the conditioned stage. This is what my
They're more
understanding.
attached to the body, to our body than the.
Okay. Anyone else?
Are
I
there
think
constraints in our path?
Rajesh Prabhu, you were coming to say?
yeah. So in our conditioned state, we have a lot of anarthas, impurities in our heart, which blocks us from progressing to the next step.
Yes. Another Mataji, you said something, Mataji.
Constraints in our path of devotional service, impediments.
Impediments, yes.
Well, we want to keep ourselves in material as well as, so we want to be in both sides. So we're kind of in between.
Okay.
I think majority of people would have a great sense of attachment to their bodies rather than thinking,
Okay.
spiritual wise.
There are
So we
so many
are forgetful
people.
of Krishna.
Sorry, Mataji?
We are forgetful of Krishna. We have forgotten Krishna.
We have forgotten Krishna. So let's just think about the world now.
I was going to say Kali Yuga.
Kali Yuga. Kali
Yeah.
Yuga, Mataji.
Yeah, because we're in Kali Yuga and, we've got propensity to cheat and everything. So make mistakes.
Yes.
And our minds are all over the place. So it's very hard to just focus and discipline. And so the 4 regulatory principles help us to get that discipline going.
Yes.
And I thought even without meditation or without knowledge, we will not know what to do,
Okay. Thank you, Bhagavati Mataji.
Yeah, sorry, I keep changing my head every morning and afternoon.
No, it's okay. Actually, what causes one to take to the direct path? According to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what causes one to come to the path of bhakti?
Association with a devotee, pure devotee?
Yes. The critical path is that there's actually 2 things. The main cause for one coming to the direct path is the association of the devotee. Even in moments, association of the devotee. Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra Hai. Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi Hai. It is said, Lava Matra. In Sanskrit or in Vedic culture, time has many divisions. It's broken up, 1 second is even broken up into fractions. So a fraction of a second is called Lava Matra. So he said even contact with a fraction of a devotee, a small second of a pure devotee, one can come to devotional service. And in that small fraction of a second, the Bhakti Lata Bij is planted. The seed of devotion is planted. But one may say there are many people who met Srila Prabhupada, a pure devotee of Krishna. And many of them took to Krishna consciousness. But there are still many that did not take to Krishna consciousness. And why would that be? Now, there are a few reasons given. And one very nice reason that Rajesh Prabhu gave, he said, the anarthas. The anarthas within the mind or the heart. These anarthas prevent us from really accepting, the mercy of the devotees. Just like in that second, that seed may be planted, but the seed needs to be watered, and then it could grow. So in this way, not everyone can take the devotional service. And Prabhupada then goes on to say is that therefore the indirect process is good. So why would the indirect process be good? I mean, the indirect process, when we say indirect process, means that indirect process as described by Krishna in these verses.
It
is
takes
good.
you through different stages, so your anarthas are washed away slowly,
Yes.
rather than
Different measures are there to suit different type of the people.
Yes, it is good, as you say, Puja Mataji and Emma Mataji, is good because people will gradually advance. And if you look at all of these steps very, very closely, there's a few common factors mentioned there. One is attachment to the fruits of the work, and two is the influence of the mind. Just like, for example, it is said that one needs to come to the stage of meditation. Prabhupada says your stage of knowledge, then the state of meditation, then the stage of understanding the super soul, and then the stage of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because through knowledge, one can realize that by being attached to the fruits of one's work, one remains grounded to material life. Through knowledge, one can come to the point of realizing that detachment is important. Anyway, everything that we have will be taken away either through our karma or through time, and lastly through death. Rather not be attached to the fruits of the work because they are just so temporary. So through knowledge, one can understand how temporary the material, the fruits of one's work is. So what's the use of being attached to it? And through knowledge, one can understand the position of the mind. Just like Jad Bharat, he went to perform meditation on the Lord in the forest. When he sat down for meditation, because he was so attached to the deer, he was always thinking, what's happening with the deer now? Is some wild animal going to attack the deer? Is it safe? Is it going to fall in the water and drown? In this way, he could not be fixed on the stage of meditation. So one has to become detached to go to the stage of meditation. And a condensed form of meditation, when one's meditation becomes more and more and more condensed, then one can come to understand the super soul. And then when one comes to understand the super soul, there's two things that can happen. One can either think that I am the super soul, I am God, and then one becomes an impersonalist, a Mayavadi. Or one can think, I am a servant of the super soul, and then one takes to devotional service. So this is the step-by-step process. And one thing we can understand is that Krishna is trying to encourage everyone. Ideally, Krishna wants everyone to be situated on the path of pure, spontaneous devotional service. But that the Lord accepts is not possible for everyone. So he's kindly giving these gradual methods, these gradual processes by which one can advance in Krishna consciousness. Is that clear?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you.
Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji, very clear.
Yes, Prabhuji.
All right. So we are very fortunate that somehow or the other we've come to the direct method. Prabhupada says you want to go to the top floor of the building. There's 50 floors in the building. You can take the stairway and climb and climb and climb and climb. It's going to be hard. It's going to take time. It'll be difficult. Or you can take the elevator. Go straight to the 50th floor by elevator. So Krishna consciousness is like going by elevator. And the other methods, the other processes, like going through the stairway. So we should encourage people in the first instance to take directly to Krishna consciousness. And if we see that this person is not ready for Krishna consciousness, then we can consider how what Lord Krishna is recommending in these verses of Bhagavad Gita. And yeah, and we can give them prashadam and hope that through some mercy they can come directly to Krishna consciousness. So I'll stop here and I'll take any questions or comments that anyone may have.
Hare Krishna, Vrindavan. I was listening to one of the lectures of Srila Prabhupada's, I mean, the people who are coming to Krishna, Srila Prabhupada. One lady said, okay, Srila Prabhupada, everybody is going to go to Godhead, so why shall we have to always practice? And everybody is going to go anyway. So Srila Prabhupada's answer was that if you are going to a work and if you want to walk, then you will never reach to your work. So if somebody gives you a lift, then you will definitely take the lift and go to your work, and then you don't have to think. And so that way, it will take you long time. You know, if you follow these whatever time I take, then you will never reach at the destination. So you should, if you are given this facility of going, you know, somebody giving you a lift, going to your work, so we should take the process. So that's what my understanding. Srila Prabhupada has given us all the process, and so we need to take those and, you know, use our.
Very true, Mataji. Very, very true. But Srila Prabhupada also once said that only 50% of his work was done.
Yes.
Because the other 50% was to establish Varnashram Dharma.
Yes.
And this is what Prabhupada is referring to in these verses, the gradual stage, about working according to one's duty, giving up the fruits, and at the same time, by hearing about Krishna, progress. So Srila Prabhupada says the other 50% of his work is to establish Varnashram Dharma. Many of you may have heard of that. And basically, what Prabhupada is referring to is what Lord Krishna is talking about, those who are unable to follow sadhana bhakti or rag bhakti. And within ISKCON, many of the senior leaders are discussing and are meditating on how we can implement Varnashram Dharma, which fulfills the other aspect of these verses that Krishna is talking about. So
Shiva Maharaj is trying Varnashram Dharma in Hungary. So
yes.
So hope he give an example of following Varnashram Dharma.
Yes, yes. Varnashram Dharma. So that's something. Hare Krishna Bharti.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu Rajesh.
So I mean, this is a process to approach God. It could be a direct or indirect method. But if you look at the world, there are a lot of people who are not even coming to God. So there's a lot of section of people who are, you know, not favorable to God. But then you also have people who talk about spirituality, but they don't want religion. And then you also have various religions. So how does this approach, which has been laid out, compare with, let's say, other religions or other paths? You know, I mean, when you compare with Abrahamic religions, as an example.
Yes, very good question, Prabhu. Very good question. Two answers. Firstly, you describe people who do not even follow any religion. They are just on the animalistic platform. According to the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, sometimes the teachings are compared to a ladder. And it's called a yoga ladder. And in this ladder, you have the ground. You're not even on the ladder yet. Those people are not following any religious principles. No, you know, Prabhupada says human life means, it's not even spiritual life. You know, human life means no eating of meat, fish, or eggs, no intoxication, no gambling, no illicit sex. So anyone who is not following the 4 regulative principles, they're not even on the ladder. But there are some people in religions, they are situated on religion. So whereabout are they on the ladder? I was reading something very interesting which I shared with 1 or 2 devotees recently about what Srila Prabhupada was talking about the future of the world. And Srila Prabhupada said something very interesting in this conversation. He said, at one stage there will be a Krishna conscious government, but all of the citizens will not be Krishna conscious. They'll be following many other religions, but they will be very happy with the Krishna conscious government, and they will be supportive, and actually they would vote for a Krishna conscious government. So the devotee asked him, how will that happen, Prabhupada? You mean that not everyone will be Krishna devotees? No, Prabhupada said, no, not everyone will be Krishna devotees. Many of them will follow the Jewish religion, they'll follow the Christian religion or other religions. So how will they be supportive, the devotee asks, of Krishna consciousness? Then Prabhupada says they will consider the Krishna conscious people to be the ideal people. And then the devotee asks, but how will that happen, Prabhupada? Then Prabhupada says, this will happen by the mass distribution of Krishna conscious literature. He said the more people will read Krishna conscious literature, even if they don't change their religion, they will change their thought processes, just like we're experiencing in this world today. Many, many people are turning to veganism and vegetarianism. Many Christians are doing so. Even I was reading recently, even many Muslims are doing so. And when Prabhupada preached to the Christians, he actually had no problem with Christianity. Prabhupada says, we see Jesus Christ as a pure devotee. We worship Jesus Christ. And when Prabhupada spoke to the Christians, he only focused on one point. Jesus said, thou shalt not kill. So why are you eating animals? You should stop this. And Prabhupada just focused on this one point. So in terms of the vision for the future and in terms of Srila Prabhupada's vision of the world, Srila Prabhupada saw that other religions will also be situated on this yoga ladder. And will be various stages of development on the yoga ladder, but it required them to at least come to the platform of following the 4 regulative principles. And Prabhupada said that will happen in the future. This prediction over the next 10,000 years of, God consciousness spreading. But it's not necessary that the mass population will become Krishna conscious. Many of that mass population will still follow a type of a religion that is not necessarily Krishna conscious. Does that answer your question, Rajesh Prabhu?
Yeah, no, yes, definitely.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Prabhuji?
Yes.
Yes. It says devotional service in Krishna consciousness is a direct method, but people they may be in Krishna consciousness, but at different levels of the devotional service. Some may be doing more bhakti, some may be doing less. So does this mean everybody is they are still on the direct method to go back to Godhead?
Yes, even within Krishna consciousness, the process of sadhana bhakti. Srila Rupa Goswami in the Nectar of Instruction, he says there are 3 classes of devotee: the 3rd class, the 2nd class, and the 1st class. He says the 1st class devotee, and he classifies them on the basis of their faith, and secondly on the basis of their ability to convince others or to be steady in their Krishna consciousness. He says the 3rd class devotee only sees the deity and sees himself. He does not know how to relate properly to other devotees. And secondly, his faith is very weak in that sometimes he may be convinced and he may fall away from Krishna consciousness, but still he's classified to be within Krishna consciousness. The second class devotee, his faith is strong. His faith is strong and he's able to convince others of Krishna consciousness. And he makes distinction between the innocent and the envious. And he preaches this to the innocent, and he ignores or does not give much attention to the envious. And the last is a first-class devotee. The first-class devotee sees everyone as devotee, but does not see themselves as devotee. And they are fixed, they cannot be shaken from their Krishna consciousness at all. So even within Krishna, I've just mentioned 3 broad categories, but even within those, they are overlapping between Kanishta, Madhyam, and Uttama Adhikari. So even within devotional service, there are gradations. But they are all, anyone who is following the path of sadhana bhakti, then they are in the direct process, the bhakti path. Yeah. Does that answer your question, Puja Matadi?
Yes, very well. Thank you. Yeah, much clearer.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Prabhu, you know when you mentioned that even when people come across a pure devotee, they still don't connect to Krishna consciousness, and that's because of anarthas. So just trying to understand anarthas. So is it, the analogy of the boat, the wedding party going on a boat and not letting go the anchor? They never got to the destination because they hadn't taken off the anchor. Is anarthas anchor or anarthas, or is the anchor attachment?
Well, attachments are a product of the anarthas.
The part of anarthas, okay.
Yeah, the unwanted things in the heart is what causes us to be attached. And also the mind is also a very important agent in this whole process. The mind, convinces the living entity of a false position. So therefore, it is recommended on all of these paths that one should, progressive stages, one should gradually become free from the influence of the mind. Very important.
Right. So anarthas, attachment is one of the anarthas, basically, right?
Yeah, and I can't remember the exact categories, but there are different stages of anarthas. The anarthas that arise from one's previous sins. There's anarthas that arise from of offenses committed in bhakti, and there's also offenses that's very bad. Well, you get seva aparad, and then you get Vaishnava aparad. Yeah.
And offense to the deities.
Yeah, the seva aparad. That falls within seva aparad. Offenses committed, or aparad, anarthas arise from these aparads. So there's anarthas that arise from our previous sinful activity, or even good activities. Anarthas that even arise from doing service, and there's anarthas from Vaishnava aparad. And this is not only in this lifetime, it comes from previous lifetimes also.
Previous lifetimes. Yes. Yes, thank you, Prabhuji.
I wanted to ask, are we singing the Damodarastakam at the moment in weekends? I've been a bit out of touch the last few days. I've been very busy. Are we doing anything like that? Yes, yesterday I saw you all. I noticed.
We sang yesterday, Prabhuji.
You sang yesterday. Do you all want to do it today?
It would be nice to do it every day, Prabhuji.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yes, please.
Okay, let's do it. All right, just give me a minute while I. And if any of y'all have things to do and you're busy, please feel free. I don't want to hold you back. Let me bring the Damodarastakam prayers up. Okay, it's up there on. Okay, let me share my screen. So is there anyone in particular would like to sing? I guess the way to do it, the sensible way to do it is one person sings and the other one sings beyond your muted mics. Yes? Is anyone in particular would like to sing today?
Vrindavan Chandra Prabhu, shall I sing?
Yes, is it Krishnavani Mataji?
Yes, Prabhu.
All right, so Krishnavani Mataji, you will unmute yourself, everyone else would mute their mics, and then we will follow. We will sing together with you, so you don't have to wait for responses. You just move from one verse to the next.
Okay, Prabhu.
Please go ahead, Mataji.
Let me just get to the...
I have it on the screen, you can see it?
Can you make it a little bit
I'm on the phone.
bigger
It's okay,
size?
Prabhu. I got to...
Yes, fine. Thank you.
Okay, that's bigger. That's good.
Lovely.
Okay. Namamishwaram Satchid Anandarupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Vrajamanam Yashoda Biyolokalatavamanam Paramristam Atyantato Drutya Gopya Rudanta Muhurnetra Yugmam Rijantam Karambuja Yugmena Satankanetram Muhusvasakam Patrire Kankakantha Sthita Grevam Damodaram Bhaktivadam Iti Drikswalilabir Ananda Kunde Swagosham Nimajantam Akhyapayantam Tadiye Sitageshu Bhaktirjitatvam Puna Prematastam Sata Vritti Vande Varam Deva Moksham Na Moksham Vadim Va Na Chanyam Vrineham Vare Sadapiha Idam Teva Purnatha Gopala Balam Sada Me Manas Avirastam Kim Anye Idam te mukham bhojam atyanta nile Vritam kuntalai snigdha raktasya gopya Muhuschumbitam bimba rakta darame Manasa virastam alam lakshalabe Namo Deva Damodar Ananta Vishnu Prasida Prabodukha Jalabdi Magnam Kripa Drishti Vrishyati Dinam Batanu Grihane Shamam Agnan Adyakshi Drishya Kuveratmajo Bhatta Mutaiva Yadvat Tvaya Muchito Bhakti Bhajo Krito Cha Tatha Prema Bhaktim Swakam Me Prayacha Namokshe Graho Me Stida Modareha Namaste Studamne Sfuradiptidamne Tvadiyo Darayatha Vishwasya Damne Namo Radhikayai Tvadiya Priyayai Namo Nantalilaya Devaya Tubhyam Namam Ishwaram Satchid Ananda Rupam लसत् कुण्डलं गोकुले व्रजमानम् यशोदाभियो लोकलाघवमानम् परं मृष्टमत्यन्ततो धृत्य गोप्या हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा दामोदर राधे जय यशोदा दामोदर यशोदा दामोदर राधे जय राधा गोकुलानंद राधे जय सीताराम लक्ष्मण हनुमान जय सीताराम लक्ष्मण हनुमान जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव श्री श्री राधा दामोदर की जय यशोदा दामोदर की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय थैंक यू वेरी मच Vrindavan
Thank
Chandra
you.
Prabhu.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mataji, for that wonderful singing. So let's read the verses quickly, and I will just looking at the names on the list here. I'm going to ask Kalpana Mataji, can I request you to read the first stanza, the English translation, please? Okay. Maybe
I think
she's
it's,
not.
is it me? Okay.
Oh, it's you, Mataji. Okay, you read the first.
Okay.
You're Kalpana.
Yeah. To the Supreme Lord, whose form is the embodiment of eternal existence, knowledge, and bliss, whose sharp-shaped earrings are swinging to and fro, who is beautifully shining in the divine realm of Gokul, who, due to the offense of breaking the pot of yogurt that his mother was churning into butter, and then stealing the butter that was kept hanging from a swing, is quickly running from the wooden grinding mortar in fear of Mother Yashoda, but who has been caught from behind by her who ran after him with greater speed. To that Supreme Lord, Sri Damodara, I offer my humble obeisances.
Ajay Prabhu, can I ask you to read text number 2, and then after that, Bharat Prabhu, if you could read text 3, please. Message 3. Ajay Prabhu, you can unmute. Okay, Ajay Prabhu, if you're not there, Bharat Prabhu, are you with us? Read number 2, please. Okay, swiftly moving on. Bharati Mataji, can I ask you to read 2, please?
Number 2?
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Chandrika Mataji, you read after that. Sorry, yeah. Carry on, Mataji. Chandrika Mataji, you'll read after this, the next paragraph. Yeah. Carry on, Mataji, please.
Yeah. Seeing the weeping stick in his mother's hand, he is crying and rubbing his eyes again and again with his 2 lotus hands. His eyes are filled with fear, and the necklace of pearls around his neck, which is marked with 3 lines like a conch shell, is shaking because of his quick breathing due to crying. To this Supreme Lord, Sri Damodara, whose belly is bound not with ropes, but with his mother's pure love, I offer my humble obeisances.
By such childish pastimes as this, he is drowning the inhabitants of Goloka in pools of ecstasy, and is revealing to those devotees who are absorbed in knowledge of his supreme majesty and opulence that he is only conquered by devotees whose pure love is imbued with intimacy and is free from all conceptions of awe and reverence. With great love, I again offer my obeisances to Lord Damodara hundreds and hundreds of times.
Thank you. Dev Kishan Prabhu, you here?
Hare Krishna, yeah, I can read it.
Read number 4, please.
Okay. O Lord, although you are able to give all kinds of benedictions, I do not pray to you for the boon of impersonal liberation, nor the highest liberation of eternal life in Vaikuntha, nor any other boon, which may be obtained by executing the 9 processes of bhakti. O Lord, I simply wish that this form of yours as Balagopala in Vrindavana may ever be manifest in my heart. For what is the use to me of any other boon besides this?
Thank you so much. Divya Gaurangi Mataji, you could read 5 for us, please, if you're still here.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhuji, thank you so much. O Lord, your lotus face, which is encircled by locks of soft black hair, tinged with red, is kissed again and again by Mother Yashoda, and your lips are reddish like the bimba fruit. May this beautiful vision of your lotus face be ever manifest in my heart. Thousands and thousands of other benedictions are of no use to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Geeta Mataji, can you read the next one, please? Number 6.
Me that you said. Okay.
You're not here. Jai Shri Mataji, you can read 6, please.
Hare Krishna, yes, Prabhu. O Supreme Godhead, I offer my obeisances unto you, O Damodar, O Ananta, O Vishnu, O Master, O my Lord, be pleased upon me. By showering your glance of mercy upon me, deliver this poor ignorant fool who is immersed in an ocean of worldly sorrows and become visible to my eyes.
Thank you. Krishangi Mataji, can you read number 7, please? Kushim Mataji, read number 7, please.
Hare Krishna. Yes, I can.
Oh, I can. Sorry.
Okay. Okay. Krishangi Mataji, you here?
Yes.
Okay. You can read 7 and 8. Who did I ask now? I lost touch.
Kusuma, I will do the number 8.
You read 8. Okay. So Krishangi Mataji, you read 8.
Okay, I'll do 8.
You read 7. You read 7. Sorry, Krishangi Mataji, you read 7.
Okay.
And
O Lord Damodar, just as the 2 sons of Kuver, Manigriva and Nalkuver were delivered from the curse of Naran and made into great devotees by you in your form as a baby, tied with rope to a wooden grinding mortar. In the same way, please give to me your own Prem Bhakti. I only long for this and have no desire for any kind of liberation.
Thank you very much. Kushim Mataji, please.
O Lord Damodara, I first of all offer my obeisances to the brilliantly effulgent robe which binds your belly. I then offer my obeisances to your belly, which is the abode of the entire universe. I humbly bow down to your most beloved Srimati Radharani, and I offer all obeisances to you, the Supreme Lord, who displays unlimited pastimes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Radha Damodara ki jai.
Hey, wonderful, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you. And
Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you.
Hare Krishna.